Very good morning to one and all. Welcome back to history class. Today is 19th Feb 2021. Here we are going to do the revision of chapter number 5 from history. So in this chapter number 5, the name of the chapter is Kingdom, King and an Early Republic. In this revision topic, we are going to see the following points. The following points are how some men become rulers. Next, we are going to see about the point Janapadas and Mahajanapadas. After that, we are going to see a closer look of Magda. Finally, we are going to summing up with this point of discussion of question answers with you and how to write the answers for each question I am going to discuss with you. Let's proceed. Point number 1. How some men become rulers. So in this point we are going to see about how few people, the men, started to become rulers. So choosing leaders or rulers by voting is something that has become common during the last 50 years or so. How did men become rulers in the past? Some of the Rajas we read about in chapter number 4 were probably chosen by the Jana, the people. But around 3000 years ago, we find some changes taking place in the way in which the Rajas were chosen. Some men now become recognized as Rajas by performing a very big sacrifice. So what was that sacrifice? Let's check out. So that was Ashwamedha Yagna. So Ashwamedha or a horse sacrifice was one of such ritual. A horse was let loose to wander freely and it was guarded by the Raja's men. If the horse wandered into the kingdoms of other Raja and they stopped it, they had to fight. If they allow the horse to pass, it means that they accepted the Raja who wanted to perform the sacrifice was stronger than them. These Rajas were then invited to the sacrifice, which was performed by special trained priests who were rewarded with gifts. So finally you are knowing about Lord Rama also performed this Ashwamedha Yagna. And the son of Lord Rama, Love and Kush, they stopped that horse, Ashwamedha Ghoda. The Raja who organized the sacrifice were recognized as being a very powerful, and all those who came brought gift for him. Next, the Raja was a central figure in these rituals. He often had a special seat, a throne or a tiger skin. His chariot, who was his companion in the battlefield and the witness his exploits. Chants tales of his glories. His relatives, especially his wife and sons, had to perform a variety of minor rituals. The other Raja were simple spectators. That means they were simply sitting and seeing it. Who had to sit and watch the performance of the sacrifice. Priests performed the ritual, including the sprinkling of sacred water on the king. The ordinary men, just like the Vish, or we can speak Vaishya, also brought gift. However, some people, such as those who were regarded as Sudras by the priest, were excluded from many rituals. So finally we are seeing here the caste division, the division pattern of the societies of this one, and how Rajas were performing all the rituals we had seen. Next, the Janapadas. The Raja who performed these big sacrifices were now recognized as being Rajas of Janapadas rather than Janas. So he became Janapadas. The Janapada literally means the land where the Jana set its foots and settled down. Some important Janapadas are shown on the map number 4 on page number 49. You can go through it. Next, the archaeologists have excavated a number of settlements in these Janapadas, such as Purana Kila in Delhi or Hastinapur near Meerut. Right? So these are the authentic near Etah. The last two are in Uttar Pradesh. They found that the people lived in huts and they kept cattle as well as animals. And also they used to grow the different varieties of crops such as wheat, barley, rice, pulses, sugarcane and so on. They made earthen pots. Some of these were grey in color, others were red. One special type of pottery found at these sites is known as painted greyware. It is obvious that the name of the greyware had painted design, usually a simple line and geometrically. Then Mahajanapadas. About 2500 years ago, some Janapadas become more important rather than others, were known as Mahajanapadas. Some of these are shown on map number 4. Most Janapadas had a capital city. Many of these were fortified. So there the question was there, why the king of the Mahajanapadas or Mahajanapadas used to fortify there. These means the huge wall of the wood, brick or a stone were built around them. This revision point include the mixture of the few points which we studied in the previous chapter also. I had taken that one to just highlight the points. Forts were properly built because people were afraid of attacks from the other kings and needed protection, and it is going to be easy to administrate them. It is also like that some rulers wanted to show how rich and powerful they were by building really a large, tall and impressive walls around their cities. Also in this way, the land and the people living inside the fortified area could be controlled more easily by the king. Building such walls, huge walls, a great deal of planning, thousands if not lakhs of bricks or stone had to be prepared. This in turn meant enormous labor provided, possibly by the thousands of men, women and children, and resources has to be found for all of this. The new Raja now began maintaining armies. Now here points, we are discussing about the following points. They are fortifying the village. Now they started to keep the army also. Soldiers were paid regularly salaries and maintained by the king throughout the year. Some payments were made using the punch mark coin. You can see on page number 84, it is illustrated there. You are going to read more about these coins in chapter number 8. Taxes. As the rulers of Mahajanapadas were, so building huge fort, that means maintaining big armies, so they require more resource. So they used to collect taxes from the people, and after that they used to maintain this huge fort and maintaining of this army. Moving further, the taxes on the crops were the most important, right? They have to give one portion of to the king. Second, there were taxes on the craft person as well. For example, the smith may had to work for the day every month for the king. So herders were also expected to pay the tax in the form of animal or animal products. So like that, all the peoples were giving something to the king in the form of tax, whatever the occupation, the work they used to do. Next, changes in agriculture. There were two major changes in agriculture around this time. One was the growing use of iron plowshares. This means that the heavy clay soil could be turned over the better than with a wooden plowshare. So the more grain could be produced. Second, the people began transplanting paddy. This means that instead of scattering seed on the ground from the which plant or the sprouted sapling were grown and then they used to plant in the field. This led to increase in the production as many more plants survived. However, it was a back-breaking work. Generally slave men and women, dasas, dasis and kamakaras, that means the landless agricultural laborers, had to do this work. A closer look to Magda. So next we are seeing the closer look to Magda. Find Magda on map number 4, that means a page number 49. Magda became the most important Mahajanapada in the 200 years ago. Many such rivers such as Ganga soon flowed through through this region. And this was important for transport, water supply, making the land fertile. The parts of Maghdas were forested. Elephants which lived in the forest could be captured and trained for the army. Forests also provide wood for building houses, carts and chariots. Besides these were iron ore mines in this region that could be tapped to make strong tools and weapons. Magda had two very powerful rulers, right? That's a Bimbisara and Ajatasattu, who used to possible means to conquer other Janapadas. Mahajanapadas Nanda was another important ruler. He extended his control up to the northwest part of the subcontinent, Rajgira, the present age in Rajgir. And Bihar was the capital of Magda for several years. Later the capital was shifted to Patliputra, the present day Patna. Here, more than 2,300 years ago, a ruler named Alexander, who lived in Europe, wanted to become a world conqueror. Of course, he didn't conquer the world, but did conquer the parts of Egypt and came to Indian subcontinent. Reaching up to the bank of Peace when he wanted to march further eastward, his soldiers refused. They were scared as they had heard that the rulers of India had a vast army of foot soldiers, chariots and elephants. So you can see about at that time also we were having a very strong army. A closer look to Vachi. While like Magda, another one is Vachi. I refer to you all. Please go through this one. The peoples of Vachi, then like Buddha and Mahavira and all. I am not going into detail because in my explanatory video already I explained these points. Next, moving towards the question answers. So, this is the question and these are the answers. Please check out the question and their correct answer. Question number 1, state whether true or false. First, Raja who let the Ashwamedha horse pass through their lands were invited to the sacrifice. So the answer is true. B. The judge sprinkled scared water on the king. False. That was the priest. C. Archaeologists have found places in the settlement of the Janapada. False. Next, D. The pots to store the grain were made out of the painted graveware. That's false. Many cities in Mahajanapadas were fortified. So the answer is true. You have to write the whole sentence and after that you have to mark. Just like this one. Raja who led the Ashwamedha horse pass through their land were invited to the sacrifice. Then write here true. In examination, don't write like this, true, false, true, like that. As in this way, don't write. Copy the whole sentence, then write it. Next, moving towards the second question. The second question is fill in the blank. So fill in the blanks. Fill in the chart given below with the terms. That's a hunter, gatherer, farmer, traders, craft person and herder. So you are seeing the 5 blank areas. Those who used to pay the taxes, Rajas of Mahajanapadas. In your notebook, you should draw this. After that, highlighting this illustration. In each cylindrical shaped box, you have to write one term. Just like here, the first one is there, write hunter, gatherer here, farmers here, traders here, craft person here and herders here. Like that you can, in any way you can write. There is no random one, okay, you have to write first farmer, first trader. You can place any term anywhere, but you have to write here. Okay? So fill this chart. If you are having the textbook, in the textbook also you can fill up this. Moving toward to discuss the next question. Who were the group who could not participate in the assembly of ganas? So, as we had seen in the previous part only, the men, women, those who are slave called as das and dasis, and the landless laborer, they are called as the conquerors. They were not allowed to participate in this assembly. Let's check out the answer. Women, dasas and conquerors could not participate in these assemblies. So you have to write the group who could not participate in the assembly of ganas were women, dasas and conquerors. Alright, you can make it the answer like this. Women, dasas and conquerors could not participate in the assembly of the ganas. This question can be asked for 1 marks, or otherwise it can be asked for 2 marks. It may be converted into multiple choice question and asked to you, right? For example, who were the group could not participate in the assembly of Gana? The option will be there: women's, Raja, right, Janapadas and Mahajanapadas. So in that you have to go for women. Otherwise it can be dasas, or otherwise it can be conquerors. Like that it is going to be there. Why did the Raja of Mahajanapada build fort? Just now we had seen about the Mahajanapadas. Rajas were building the forts to show their power, to have the good administration and to protect them from the other people's attack. Let's check out the answer. So the answer is, the forts were probably built because people were afraid of attack from the other kings and needed protection. It is also likely that some rulers wanted to show how rich and powerful they were by building really large, tall, impressive walls around their cities. Also, in this way, the land and the people living inside the fortified area could be controlled more easily by the king. They wanted to show their richness, their power, and so on. You can make the points. This question can be asked in the examination for 3 marks or for 5 marks. Moving further to see the next question. In what ways are present day election different from the way in which the ruler were chosen in the Janapada? So like that, a present day election system, we are having the polling day, we are going and casting our vote, and then our leaders are chosen by us. Okay, so this question no need to write, you have to try yourself, you have to think upon your answers related to this point. Present day election system, you all are well versed about it, how the election is going on, right, and how that time was there. So you have to just think about the difference point between these. Next, we have finished this particular chapter. As I was speaking to you all, that all the revision points are very compulsory. Whatever the question I placed, try yourself, no need to write in the notebook. The questions like that, you have to write in the point wise, okay, for 5 marks. For 1 marks, how it is going to be asked for 2 marks, how it is going to be asked for multiple choice question as told you. Then this fill in the blanks, it is not going to be asked in the examination. It can be made into the sentence form. The people who used to pay the taxes to the Raja of Janapadas are dash. So you can place any of the one name. Like that you have to write. Okay. So here our revision point is over. Lastly, I want to tell to each and everyone, please do this revision part very seriously and Be safe and secure at your home. Thanking to one and all. Jai Hind.